welcome to another weekly update from myself, Sarah Lean. So let's touch on some Azure news, and this week we've had announcements around VNet peering support within Azure Bastion. Now I think this actually happened maybe at the tail end of last week when I was off, or the start of this week when I was off, but it's actually a pretty cool announcement. So if you're not aware of what Azure Bastion is, it's a jump box service that allows you to kind of control how people access your virtual machines, and rather than you maintaining that jump box, so rather than you having a server with a server operating system installed and you having to patch it, having to manage space, etc., we take care of that infrastructure at Microsoft and provide you that jump box service. Now previously you were only able to use the VNet, the Azure Bastion box within one VNet. So if you had multiple VNets, you had to have multiple Azure Bastions in order to interact with the virtual machines that were in each of those VNets. But now, if your VNets have VNet peering in place, your Azure Bastion box now supports using that peering and can actually connect to virtual machines that are not in the VNet that it's deployed in. And now this will help people streamline and maybe save some costs around the Azure Bastion service deployments, and also give you maybe a bit more scalability, maybe a bit more availability of your Azure Bastion services, and not have people kind of fighting over them as well. So definitely a pretty cool announcement. Now, the next bit of news that I want to talk about is maybe a bit of a minor announcement for some people, and maybe people fighting this, but we had additional regions get support for log analytics and application insights, and I'll post a link to which regions actually got all of that because there's quite a few. But I always think that these announcements are quite key to adoption for a lot of customers that have restrictions on where they can send data, where they can store data. It might be within their own country, and if we aren't providing the services around things like log analytics and application insights in their region, in their country, then it can actually be an adoption blocker, and I have seen that for some customers here in the UK. So although these are kind of minor announcements, they are quite critical to a lot of people's adoption within the cloud and moving some services and workloads into Azure. Now, in terms of me, I have been off this week. I have been enjoying some downtime, much needed downtime to try and recharge the batteries. But I'm glad to be back. I have scheduled in some pretty cool projects and have been talking to a lot of my teammates and catching up with them with things that are going on. So lots of fun things happening, lots of projects that I didn't expect to be involved in before the end of the year. I had hoped I would be able to catch up on some other things and do some admin over the last 6 or 7 weeks that are remaining in this calendar year, but it looks like I'm going to have some exciting projects to work on instead. So yeah, not quite the kind of rundown towards my Christmas holidays that I had expected, but it will keep me busy, especially since we are back in a lockdown here in the area that I live in Scotland. So nothing else to do except work and lounge in front of the TV. Something I did notice when I was checking the news earlier on was a school in Scotland, at Stirling High School, actually had a pretty cool technology project, and it's probably in the developer side of things, but some high school students coded and designed this algorithm that would use freely available satellite images to look for new penguin colonies. So I think they were inspired by a David Attenborough programme, and how penguins are maybe an endangered species or their numbers are going down. So what they did was use technology to actually look for new colonies, and do you know what? They found a new emperor penguin colony that scientists and experts hadn't found before and have actually verified. So I think it's pretty cool that the teenagers and people at high school are using technology to try and do some cool things to help us around climate change and wildlife issues. And yeah, hopefully it'll inspire a few of them maybe to go into IT, albeit maybe being developers, but yeah, it's pretty cool to see them actually using technology and inspiring them at an early age, which, like I said, will hopefully encourage them to go into IT as a career. That's a project that I am pretty passionate about. I definitely want more people to be into IT, definitely want more women in IT, definitely want more people going into the infrastructure side of things within IT, but it's always cool to hear that technology is inspiring the next generation. Now, I need to go as I have things to prep because I am co-hosting the AZ Update show with Anthony later today, so be sure to tune in to us. I'll put a link in one of the corners to tune into that show later on today, or if you're watching this after the live show has went out, you'll be available on record and you can watch Anthony and I have a bit of banter back and forth on the live show with each other and the rest of the audience. So yeah, stay safe everybody and have a good weekend even, and I will catch you next week.